Alistair Phillips from the website, the company PowerWatch, to come and talk today. He's been involved for the last 40 years in opposing, in exposing the telecommunications industry and the dangers from the mobile phone network. So unfortunately, he's now retired and he's not well and he was unable to come today. But he has sent me something to read out. So here's a statement from Alistair Phillips of PowerWatch. He says, "We don't need 5G. Current mobile phone networks are fast enough. In the current economic situation, the millimeter wave 5G should not be rolled out at all. It is especially not needed. 5G primarily allows the population to be closely monitored by government and by commercial companies. 5G is designed to allow a much more integrated Internet of Things and monitoring of all you do. 5G has at least 16 different encoding schemes, all of which pulse more than 4G and 3G and are likely to be more bioactive. Even at lower frequencies, 3.5 gigahertz, 5G needs more power than 4G. So, the 2020 revised international radio frequency exposure rules now allow about 4 times higher public radio frequency radiation exposure levels. No, zero biological or health effects research was planned, funded, or carried out before 5G was released. There is still currently no funded health monitoring research planned in any country. So, in my opinion, 5G is an illegal human guinea pig radiation exposure effects program. One of its key purposes is to more closely monitor everyone and what they do. He goes on, what can an individual do to help prevent the rollout of 5G? Do not upgrade your mobile phone to a 5G one. Every 5G handset bought will drive the roll-up forward. Avoid using your mobile device for video film streaming or downloading. The more this is done, the greater need to roll out 5G. Push for better, faster fiber internet connections for everyone. Then watch on a wired connection to PC or tablet.
No, Ray.
All right.
No, Collin.
No, we're not using that. All right. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
The 5G rollout only works economically if people pay for it by excessive mobile network use and buying new handsets. Fight against allowing self-driving autonomous cars. We don't need them and they need 5G to work. I was making walkie-talkies in the 1960s. At the time I thought they were wonderful. Over the past 40 years, my work and research on radio frequency, and especially modern radio frequency microwave communication technologies, has convinced me that all modern microwave radio frequency exposures from mobile phones and Wi-Fi have negative effects on our health and well-being. From fatigue, headaches and brain fog through to a reduced ability to fight off infections, including viruses. So, use wired connections where you can. Use hand-free headsets for mobile phone conversations. Do not use Bluetooth earpods for listening to music. They take near-field radio frequency right into your inner ear. To minimize the risk of developing COVID and other viruses, take 100 milligram vitamin C and 1,000 milligram vitamin C and 5,000 IU vitamin D3, and some say 50 micrograms of vitamin K2 every day. The vitamin D3 is particularly important for UK people, as most are subclinically deficient. We do not get enough sunlight. That's the statement from Alistair Phillips. I'll just make some comments of my own. I mean, I'm very pleased that he's mentioned the issue of how we can deal with this as consumers. A lot of people who are opposed to 5G think we can do things like take down 5G masts and stuff like that. I'm pretty confident that will not be possible. These masts are going to be closely monitored, and there will be plenty of security. I don't think that is realistic. How, in fact, can we stop the 5G? As he points out, it's up to us. Okay, we have to stop using the goddamn, iPhone. Particularly, if he mentions the latest 5G handsets. Quite frankly, we have to wean ourselves off this technology, because this technology is, as we now know quite obviously, an instrument of our own enslavement. Through track and trace, through the downloading of apps, through the immune passport, whereby they can verify whether we've been vaccinated and things like this. These devices, they introduced them not so that we could wander around the streets looking at stupid films, but because they wanted to get us addicted to them, and then they can then use them to monitor us and, in fact, to enslave us digitally. Of course, the reason that we use them is not just to watch stupid films. Okay, this is quite clear. I mean, we may even be watching good films, but that's not the reason that we use them for the most part. It turns out the reason we use them is that we're addicted to them. People don't actually realize that. They're aware that there's a psychological addiction. People just can't stop going into their iPhones to see who's messaged them on Facebook or whatever. Yes, there is a psychological addiction, but a Spanish scientist by the name of Alfonso Balmori of the University of Valladolid in northern Spain has done a study, and at least it has reviewed a number of studies, and he believes that, in fact, this radiation is physically addictive. Okay, so for example, it causes the release of elements or compounds associated with stress, and these we become addicted to them. You get a high from being exposed to this radiation, and this is very important. So when people, I mean, you see this with young people. As a teacher, I've noticed that giving one-to-one classes with teenagers who are unable to get through the lesson without consulting their iPhone, or they have to go off to the toilet to look at their emails during the lesson. This also happens in schools. Kids can't get through the day without their iPhones, therefore they sometimes they're forced to leave them in a kind of locker, but they actually can't survive without them. So it's very important to realize that these, as well as being psychologically addictive, this kind of technology is physically addictive, and you have to try and become conscious of that. That's why you can't stop consulting your iPhone. So they've really got us on this. They're very close to getting us enslaved. We can't stop using their technology, and they're using this technology to control our lives, to take control over us. So I think at some point we've just got to wean ourselves off this stuff and just get rid of it. I mean, I'd like to see us getting together and having kind of almost a kind of ceremonial get-together where we actually just dispose of our iPhones. Yeah, we do whatever you want. I mean, I don't know if you set fire to them. That's probably not very environmental. You can throw them into water. You know, that was probably quite a good way. But we're going to have to do this. I mean, we've got to get rid of this crap. That's all there is to it. It's not just that it's doing us great harm. We know that, but it is also an instrument to control us. And the only way we can fight back in the end is as consumers. We simply cease to use them. When we do that, the whole telecommunication industry collapses. So that's all I've got to say.
By Christmas Day, which is
the whole population.
you know, I mean, these guys are, you know, I'm so impressed with them. You know, I mean, it's just the caliber of these people. You know, it's so impressive. So I don't know how we're going to manage to even get 6 people together on Christmas Day. You know, if we can sort of drag ourselves from our beds, you know, and get 6 people around for the Christmas lunch. But I don't think we're going to do it. So that at least solves that problem anyway. So I just want to say a little bit more about how the movement's going, because it's so upbeat. Unlike the COVID-19, our movement is growing exponentially. And I'm not sure that they're going to be able to flatten the curve on this. I don't think they're going to be able to flatten the curve. So things are popping up everywhere. Someone actually messaged me from Edinburgh on Thursday, so more or less saying, "Where the hell are you? You know, we're waiting for you, outside Holyrood." Well, I didn't know anything about that, but someone was there, okay, from Falkirk. So this is what you like to see, you know, just when we were sort of half thinking about going to Holyrood this Thursday, but we decided to leave it till next Thursday. But in fact, someone went anyway. So this is really, things are popping up all over the place. And talking about popping up, we did a pop-up protest on Thursday at Sauchiehall Street. There were about 6 of us there, I think, altogether. So we had my small busking amp with a microphone. We had some excellent banners done by Di and Collin. They're really good banners, and we had lots of leaflets. So we got there. We started before 5, and admittedly, to begin with, it was actually quite depressing because there were lots of young people who, for some strange reason, were wearing masks, and they weren't particularly interested in what we were doing. But after 5 o'clock, when the people started coming out of work, I met someone. He just said straight away to me, "I've just lost my job," and things got a lot more interesting, and we were getting a very, very positive response. So, but one thing did strike me: we weren't really sort of making much of an impact with the younger people, and it would be great if we had some young people with us, because for the most part we were somewhat elderly, and I think we have to accept there is this generational divide now. It's very strong, and young people, they see a bunch of old guys doing a protest, they're not necessarily going to be impressed. What I thought we might do, I thought I'd just propose it now, because of what they're doing to the students. I mean, you see that the students they can't go to the pub, they can't have their girlfriends back to the flat, they can't go home at Christmas and get some food after they've spent all their grant. So I mean, the whole foundation of student life is being undermined. So I think it would be a good time to actually go onto the campus, just for a pop-up protest down at Glasgow University, and let's see there are hopefully lots of disaffected students there who might now start to get some interest. We urgently need to recruit some young people to our group. Okay, it's just something that's something we're not really achieving at the moment, and I think that's a goal we should set ourselves. So perhaps a pop-up protest next week at Glasgow University could be good. And if we get a few people on board, they'll hopefully next time come and join us in the protest, and that will make it easier to start to bridge this generational divide we've got. So that's something we will think about. Does anyone else want to speak?
I can. Yeah.
Great. Here we are.